Welcome back to the shit show, my sisters. If you're new around here, my name is Jennifer Levins. I'm a quantum alignment coach and a Reiki master. I'm currently writing my very first book titled Surviving the Shit Show, a badass guide to thriving when your world is fucked up. This book sparked me to start this little podcast 7 weeks ago, and here we fucking are. On this podcast, we discuss the trauma that made us, how we survived it, and how we rebuilt in the aftermath. Today, I'm going to share with you guys about a time in my life that I honestly thought would break me. Now, so far, I've been kind of avoiding certain topics on this podcast because honestly, they're some of the more traumatic moments of my life. But I know at some point we have to bridge that gap. So today I want to share with you guys what happened when my dad passed away. Now, that was an absolutely fucking horrible time in my life. And honestly, at some point, it will get its own episode where I share the nitty-gritty details of everything I went through. But for today's topic, you guys, you just need to have a few details. So here's just kind of the Cliff Notes version of the worst time of my entire life. So in July of 2019, my dad passed away from a stroke. But the stroke didn't take him all at once. He actually died slowly in front of me over the course of 12 days. I spent every moment of those 12 days by his side, watching him slowly become a shell of the man that raised me. I watched him go from about 160 pounds to less than 90 pounds in just a few days. I bathed him and changed him and sang to him and prayed over him. I cried more tears than I ever thought my body even had. He was scared to be alone, so I spent every single moment that I could by his bedside. I remember I would stay, up with him all day and then stay up as long as I possibly could at night. And I couldn't leave the room because he would freak out if I left. So I wouldn't eat or, go to the bathroom or anything unless he was sleeping. So it would be, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when he would finally fall asleep and I could sneak out of the room and run down to the cafeteria and get something to eat. And by then, the only thing open in the cafeteria was they had like a Chick-fil-A pop-up situation. And so I would get whatever was left from the day there. It was usually some nasty ass chicken sandwich that had been sitting there for hours. And I would quickly grab it with maybe some cold waffle fries if they had them and run back up to the room and, sit there and eat while he slept. And that was just, it was my existence for 12 days. I lived in that hospice room. And there was so much more to it that was just fucking awful. And like I said, at one point, it will get its entire, own episode, but I'm just not ready yet to get into all of those details. After he passed, I spent 5 hours in the room with my father's dead body, waiting on the funeral home to arrive. It was the worst time of my entire life. And going through something like that, it's not something that you can ever be prepared for. It's just not. Afterwards, we had the memorial service, and I had to deal with all the things that are left behind after someone passes away. Anyway, I eventually arrived back home, and I was just a different person than who had left 3 weeks before. The whole experience just changed me, and I was done. By that point in my life, I had lost my mom to a heart attack when she was 48 years old. I had experienced the murder of my brother when he was only 23 years old. I mean, I had been through life's shit show more times than I could ever want to admit. I was just fucking done with all of it. The girl who had left for Tennessee 3 weeks before, after receiving a phone call that her dad had had a stroke, was a notorious people pleaser. I worked in a job that I felt completely undervalued at. I had so many toxic relationships and superficial friendships in my life. I was stressed out by just the day to day living that every moment in life felt unbearable. The girl who returned from Tennessee, though, just didn't give a flying fuck anymore. I was done with the stress. I was done with all the superficial fucking shit in my life. I was done running myself ragged at a job that honestly did not value all of my hard work. I was done being too fucking scared to lean into the things that brought my heart so much joy, leaning into the parts of myself that I had suppressed for so long because I was scared of what people might think. I was just fucking done. So I started making changes. The very first thing I did was signed up to sell makeup under a company that I had been following for 2 years before and kept being like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could, be brave enough to go on and do live videos and all these things, but I'm just not that person. I'm just not brave enough. I was like, you know what? Fuck you. The night I got home from Tennessee, I signed up for that makeup company. And I did that for 2 years and absolutely fucking loved it. The only reason I gave up on it was because the company went through some changes that I didn't exactly agree with during COVID. And so I kind of gave that up. But going through that process made me brave enough to do all the things I'm now doing. So I'm really happy for that part in my life. It was just, it came out of that moment of just being fucking done. So I started making all these changes and they were really, really good. I remember the first time that I said no to something that honestly I just didn't want to do. I was asked to become the president of the PTA at my children's school. And honestly, I just didn't want to add one more thing to an already overfilled plate. So I didn't. I said no. And I remember driving home from that meeting and feeling so incredibly proud of myself for standing up for myself and for turning down something that a year before I would have loved because I would have been like, oh, look at me, I'm the PTA president. You know what I mean? And by that point, I just didn't give a fuck anymore. Didn't care. I was like, you know what? Let someone else. By me saying no, I'm giving someone else that opportunity to say yes. And they did. That was the first time that I can remember practicing radical self care. Because you see, friends, self care isn't the bullshit that we've been fed for so long. It isn't a glass of wine and a fucking bubble bath. Or at least I should say, it isn't just those things. It is so much more. It is survival. It is putting on your own oxygen mask first. It is putting your needs above the needs of those around you sometimes. It is dealing with your shit. It is facing those deepest, darkest parts of yourself and doing the work to heal them. It is showing up for yourself in an even bigger way than you show up for other people. It is setting boundaries and sticking to them no matter what the outcome is going to be. It is unfollowing those toxic people on your newsfeed. It is making sure that your needs are met. After losing my mom and my dad and my brother, all before I was 35 years old, I realized how short life truly was. And I realized that if I was ever going to make it out of this life with a shred of dignity, I had to make some drastic changes. So I sat down one evening and I did an audit of my life. And if you'll allow me, I would like to run you through the process that I used. So grab a pen and some paper and meet me right back here. You guys should know by now, if you've been listening for a little bit, just turn this podcast on with the notebook and pen handy because we're going to do some fucking work, okay? Okay. So grab pen and paper, meet me back. I'm going to give you guys a pause so you can go get that. Okay, so you got your pen and paper now. Awesome. Great job. All right, this is my self care audit. Here's the thing though, if you're going to do this, you have to go into it with no bullshit attached. You have to be honest with yourself and what you hope to change about your life. This is the only way that this is going to benefit you. At the time that I developed this audit, I was at my most broken state. I had just buried my dad after a horrific experience of watching him die, and I felt like God had just taken my whole family from me at that point. My mom had passed 10 years earlier, and my brother had been murdered 5 years after that. I felt like only the smallest piece of my former self, and I was done with the bullshit. I was done putting on a smile when nothing felt okay anymore. So take a moment before you start and just put yourself into that mindset. Do a quick reality check. Drop any of the bullshit that won't allow you to be 100% open and honest with yourself. When you're ready, let's start by looking at what you're currently doing in the name of self care. So answer a few questions for me. Number one, what are you currently doing as self care? Go ahead and write it down. Now I want you to answer why it is so important to you. So just answer the question, why is this important to me? Okay, now let's take a look at how we can kind of take that to a deeper level. So on this one, you're going to think about things like, okay, let's say reading is your self-care. So you're going to say, okay, I read as my self-care. It is important to me because I use stories as my escape from the shit show of my life. So, how can I take that to a deeper level? Well, why do you feel the need to escape your life at all? What is going on that you want to escape from? You are just going to look for that deeper understanding as to why you are doing the thing that you are doing in the name of self care. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that doing any of these things in the name of self care is bad or that you shouldn't be doing it. Not at all. I actually think that having that personal time for yourself or doing those little things throughout your day that bring you joy is an amazing thing and that you should definitely continue to do it. What I'm asking you to do is just explore it on a deeper level. Visit your shadows for a moment. Figure out if you might be doing these things for any other reason and heal that part so that when, let's say, you sit down to open that book to read, you can do just that. You can enjoy reading just because you enjoy reading versus using it as an escape from life. So once you've kind of explored that deeper level of why you do the thing that you do, then I want you to ask yourself, what is missing from this self care routine? What can you add in just because it brings joy to your life? If you don't know the answer to this at this point, please feel free to go on to the next step and we'll sort that out together. All right, let's move on to step 2. I want you to answer these 4 questions. Number 1, what am I doing right now in my life that actually nourishes me? And we're not talking about like physically nourishing ourselves. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. One of my favorite self care things is cheesecake. I really, really, really like cheesecake. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about something that might physically nourish us, even though I don't know how nourishing cheesecake is. Listen, I just really fucking like cheesecake, okay? But we're talking about what is nourishing to you more on that mental or spiritual level. What brings you joy and makes you just so insanely happy that you want to scream? Okay, next question. What things are you doing just to keep others happy, even at the sake of your own happiness? What things are you saying yes to, even though everything inside of you is screaming no? So I'll give you guys an example of this. Prior to, doing this audit of my life, I had a friend who used to love to go to all these shows. And there was a show that we had tickets to go to. And the day that the show happened, there was a massive snowstorm. We're talking horrible. They were telling people to stay off the roads. And I had called my friend. I'm like, it was like an hour drive to where we were going for the show. And I was like, I'm not really comfortable with us going. The snow is really, really bad. I don't feel like it's safe. And she was like pushing and pushing and pushing that we need to go to this show. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable. I kept saying that. I don't feel comfortable trying to drive this in this weather. And she just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And she actually started getting mad at me because I didn't want to go. And nowadays, I would have been like, fuck you, you go, you risk your life. I'm not doing that. And instead, I didn't. I, cowered in like I always did at that point in my life. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, we'll try it. But if it gets bad, we're going to turn around. Well, so she gets to my house and she's like, I'm going to drive. If you're uncomfortable, I'm going to drive. Blah, 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 blah. And I remember pulling out of my driveway and everything inside of me was like, no, this is a stupid idea. It's not even worth it. Why the fuck are we doing this? But outwardly, I was like, let's go. It's going to be fun. Like, I played the part because I apparently was not a strong enough person back then to tell this friend no. And we ended up making it to the show, but the drive was absolutely horrible. And by the time we got to the show, honestly, I didn't even enjoy being there because I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be home with my family. We're looking at those times. We're looking at those times where we may have said yes to keep another person happy, even at the sake of our own happiness. That whole experience was miserable for me because I just didn't want to be there. So that's what you're looking for when you answer this question is when are you showing up for others even when it's affecting your own happiness? Question number 3. What is something that I need to stop doing immediately? What is that glaring thing that you're like, I need to stop that. I'm done. I'm absolutely done. That's what you're going to write right now. Okay, and question number 4 is in what ways am I abandoning myself? In what ways are you not showing up for you even though you know you should? Now that you kind of have an idea of the things that are nourishing you versus the things that you can kind of let go of at this point, we're going to create what is called my fuck off list. Okay? These are all the things that can just fuck all the way off in your life. These are the things that no longer serve you, the things that are making you miserable. This list is your permission slip to stop doing those things. It is your permission slip to say hell no to the things that you used to easily say yes to. It is your permission to quit explaining the boundaries that you've set, because guess what? No is a complete sentence. This list is your permission to yourself to quit feeling guilty for those times when you need to rest. And lastly, it's your permission slip to stop being available to those who aren't available for you. This list is a beautiful gift that you are giving to yourself right now in the moment. So take a minute and write down your personal fuck off list. While you guys are writing, I'm just going to share with you some of the things on my own personal fuck off list. My list consists of things like I will no longer allow myself to say yes to the things that don't bring me joy. I will no longer compromise my own integrity by doing things just because a friend wants to. I will no longer be the nice one all the time. I will speak my mind even if my opinion is not liked by others. I will no longer make myself small so that others can feel big. Now comes the hard part. I want you guys to add people to your fuck off list. Who are the people in your life that are not deserving of your love and attention any longer? But for some reason, you may feel like you have to continue to give it to them. Add those people to your list now, because I promise you they don't deserve you. They are not seeing you for the gift you really are. They're seeing you as someone who they can use or take advantage of. So, as much as it hurts, it may be time to let those people go. Add them to your list now. Now that we know what all of the bullshit in our life is, I want you to create a different list. This list, we're going to call it our fuck on list. This will be the list of people and things in your life that bring you insane joy. These are the things that you want to spend more time on. They are the things that light you up and create just this roaring fire within your soul. And you just want to continuously spend all of your time doing those things or being with those people. I want you to create a list that is absolute joy. For me, those things are going to look like creating amazing events for women where they can come and connect to the deepest parts of themselves. Spending time with my kids and my husband. Furthering my education. Every single moment that I get to spend with my best friend, Rindy. These are the things that I want to spend more time on. These are the things I want to attract more of into my life. These are the things that belong on your fuck on list. The moments that bring you insane amounts of joy and the things that you want to commit to bringing more of into your life. So when you're ready, I want you to create your very own fuck on list. You can pause this podcast here if you'd like. Now that you're clear on what you want and don't want in your life anymore, it's time to set those boundaries. So if you guys tune in next week, we're going to discuss setting boundaries like a badass. I want to thank you guys for listening today and for honestly showing up for yourself today. I know that we talk a lot on this podcast about my own personal experiences, but it is truly my sincerest hope that we are building a community of support for each other as well. My hope is that we can build each other up and carry one another on this healing journey, because no one should ever have to go through it alone. So if you're listening today, please just leave me a comment below so that we know that you're here. And let me know if you might be interested in me starting something up like a Facebook group or something like that, a group for listeners to come and just connect on that deeper level. Again, thank you guys so much for coming and just holding the sacred space with me today. As you go throughout your week, please remember this message. Self-care is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is about more than just a glass of wine and a bubble bath, though those things are nice on the occasion. It is about honoring yourself, about setting clear boundaries and healing the deepest parts of yourself. Remember, you can't pour from a cup that's full of bullshit, because then you're just going to spread more bullshit all over the place. So fill your cup with things that actually bring you joy this week. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone that you feel needs to hear this medicine. I appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, you're enough, you're worthy, and you are so very loved. Bye, guys.